have with us Mr. Getamber Anand. He's the chairman and managing director of ATS Infrastructure, and he's a first-time entrepreneur, first-generation entrepreneur to be correct. An engineer by profession, he has built up ATS based on his values of high outstanding service, high principles, and transparency. In addition to his role in ATS Infrastructure, he currently spearheads the apex infrastructure body GREDI as the president of the GREDI National. GREDI, as you know, represents private real estate developers in India with over 11,500 members through 22 states and 150 city chapters. Mr. Anand's undaunted spirit has led to some of the revolutionary changes in the functioning of real estate market. The mission of bringing about absolute transparency and international yardsticks in the form of best practices. On behalf of our class of PGPX 2017, I welcome Mr. Anand here to our class. Experience as an entrepreneur and a professional in the real estate industry, and I'm sure we all could benefit a lot from his insights.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon, all ladies and gentlemen. So it's actually a great honor for me to be here amongst you all, because I never thought, I'll ever make it to IIM, but I'm here now, nonetheless. So for me, it's a great thing to be here for an hour. It was always a dream that I also go to some good management school. So we won't talk much about real estate. We'll touch on it as I go through my experience. But tell me, what would you all like to hear? I'll talk about that. Anything specific, anybody? I'm a first-gen entrepreneur, so if you want to hear about my journey, I can tell you that. Is that good? Yes. So how many of you are entrepreneurs here? Good. One. Aspiring. Okay, aspiring. That's good. Good. Very good. Very good. So, I come from a family, from a very middle class family. So my father was in service, and we were 3 brothers and sisters, and I was the youngest and the youngest. And is it okay if I pepper my talk with Hindi in between? Yes. It's fine? So, like in all middle class family, my parents told me study hard and do well. Engineer जरूर बनना, because हमारे टाइम में there were only 3 things: engineer, doctor या army. We had 3 options, 3 career options. So study hard, become an engineer. As a doctor मैं बनूंगा नहीं, because it's too long, takes too much time. And my brother, being the eldest, joined the army. My sister did MBA and then did a job, and there was me. I was very good in academics in school. I was doing extremely well, but I think I must have been 16 or 17 when the entrepreneurial bug clicked, and I wanted to do the entrepreneurial business करना है, जैसे यहाँ गुजरात में बोलते हैं धंधा करना है. So I thought I will do something of my own, and at that time, the only motivation was to make money, to become rich. So my father, I didn't tell him then that I want to be an entrepreneur, because he wouldn't accept it. So all he kept telling me was that I was in 12th standard, अच्छा है, I get good marks. So engineering नहीं करना तो IIS करो, because अच्छा है, झंडे वाली गाड़ी, लाल बत्ती और नीली बत्ती. It's an achievement in life. And I realized it's more my father's ambition than mine, that he wanted me to be an IIS officer or maybe an engineer in a good multinational company. And he used to tell me, अगर तुम अच्छी multinational company में जॉब करोगे, अच्छे पैसे मिलेंगे, तुम 5-star होटल करोगे. हमारे लिए staying in a 5-star hotel was a big thing. So he said, you stay in a 5-star hotel. That was what he was actually trying to tempt me with. But all the while in my mind was, I want to do something of my own. I think I can do it, and I want to make money. And after I did my 12th, so there was, of course, for engineering also there was one institution where you had to go, that was the IIM. And somehow the other in my mind I decided, I won't study more, 12th is it, and I won't do any graduation also. So I went to my father and I told him, I said, now, thing is के पढ़ लिए, आपने बोला अच्छे पढ़ लिए, अच्छे नंबर आ गए, तो अभी मैं और तो पढ़ूंगा. So there was a big hoo at home. and there was a lot of emotional blackmail, and I was forced to do engineering. And I didn't get into IT because when I saw the paper, I hadn't studied for it, so I couldn't answer any question anyway. So I got, because of my 12th marks, grades in the 12th, I got into Punjab University Engineering College at Chandigarh. And I wanted to do something different, so I took up aeronautical engineering. And after that, during the first year, I told my father, I spoke to him. There was no phone, there was no mobile. I wrote to him that I'm not finding any value here, so I think I'm going to run away from college. I won't come to you because that's not acceptable to you. So I'll just run away and I'll do something on my own. They were shattering, of course, my hopes, and he had my school principal speak to me, and my school principal, I studied at Shivamogga in Nainital. I don't know how many of you know of that institution. It's a very good institute. It's a grand old institution. So my principal, Mr. Mountford, wrote a long 2-page letter to me, and he wrote one of our finest students, and how can what example are you setting to? I was a school captain, by the way, and he said, what example would you be setting to the kids who are studying at school? So I don't think this is the right spirit. आपको ऐसा सोचना भी नहीं। Again, I had a talk with my father. I said, see, Dad, the thing is that आपकी मैं बात यहाँ तक सुन रहा हूँ कि I'll do my graduation. After that, I will do what I want to do, and whether I am hungry or I sleep hungry or I don't make anything of my life, you're not responsible, I am responsible. He said, fair enough. He said, I don't have any money. तुम्हें business करना है करो. मेरे पास कोई पैसे है नहीं. जहाँ से wherever you want money, you raise your money and do whatever you want. So at that point in time, I had no idea about what I was going to do. And it was a big decision I had taken in my life that I won't go a job. I got offers after graduation from the Air Force, Indian Airlines, aeronautical engineering. But I decided not to do it. So I just, somehow or the other, there was this thing, we didn't have career consultants at that time. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that in business, and I can make good money, quick money, without being a criminal. So I thought that is correctly identified. So 2 or 3 things I identified, and I kept trying, kept failing. No money, got into debt, sold off things, but still kept on going. Because then by that time, after 3 years after graduation, I had no choice but to go on. I remember I graduated in 86 early, 85 end, and in 89 I was at such a point in my life where there was nowhere to go, and I started, thinking, doubting my own decision. So what was there in my mind was, I made a big mistake. I should have done the job, because the guys who were with me were now fairly okay in their jobs, and they were earning 10-15,000 rupees a month, which at that time was supposed to be good. So I thought, मुझे नौकरी मिलेगी नहीं, so what should I do? Somebody had told me I had to go and wash cars in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi. You can earn about 5,000 dirhams a month by cleaning cars. So I said, I had the spirit in me. I said, okay, what I'll do is, I'll somehow go there, I'll start washing cars. Look at the dream, of this youngster. And then there'll be this rich sheikh, he'll see me near him, I'll tell him I want to drive, then he'll keep me as a driver. फिर मैं सुनता रहूँगा वो क्या बोल रहा है, and I'll impress him. Say, sir, ये आपका decision गलत है. Then he'll promote me to something else, and then I'll be a very rich guy one day. So I went to the embassy to get a visa, and they kicked me out because I had nothing. I didn't even have a passport. So then I was very depressed, and I, sincerely thought, I'd messed up my life because there was nowhere to go, no direction, and I had taken this huge decision. But I was responsible. I was staying alone. I decided not to stay with my parents because during these 3 years, what happens is that when we take wrong decisions, we look for somebody to blame. It's because of you, or it's because of you. I took this decision, but I couldn't carry it through because you were not happy with my decision. And I kept, that person to blame was my father. So I would fight with him. अगर आपने मुझे encourage किया होता, आज मैं कहाँ होता. So you look for somebody to blame. My mother, I was her favorite, and she believed in me. She was very upset with me. She said, don't you dare fight with my husband. You think you can do something in life? Go and do it, but don't fight with your father. So she packed my suitcase and she threw me out of the house. And while she threw me out, actually I remember it was a blue aristocrat suitcase, and she gave me 40,000 rupees. And she said, I know, I have full faith in you. You can do something in life. So go, and you have full faith in yourself. Go and do what you want to do, but don't fight with your father. So I left home, my father and I weren't speaking to each other. And I came to Noida with 40,000 rupees and a broken second-hand motorcycle. And I took a room on rent for 650 rupees a month. And I just had two pairs of jeans and 3 t-shirts, and I was extremely happy. Because I had no one to answer to, I had no one to fight with, and now I had to sit and decide what I want to do with my life. At that point I realized that, the biggest mistake I made was that I didn't identify what I want to do in life. Of course, no one guide me about what we should do, career options, so it was just me and me alone. One turning point in my life at that point was I met a very rich, extremely rich industrialist, some of the other bumped into and asked me, what are you doing? I said, sir, I don't know what I want to do in life. So he said, there's this book written by Conrad Hilton. It's called Be My Guest. So Conrad Hilton, I think we all know who Conrad Hilton was. He is the founder of the Hilton group of hotels. And I suggest you all read this book if you want to be entrepreneurs, even if you don't want to be entrepreneurs. At that age, I was feeling, that the bus has passed me by. मेरे साथ के जितने भी थे, कोई doing well, गाड़ी ले ली किसी ने, शादी हो गई, they're settled in life, and I'm not. So when I read that book, so Conrad Hilton, I forget the exact age he says. So the message in that book was that you must have a dream, you must have an aim. And you mustn't have these obstacles of age. By the time I'm 25, I must have a job. By the time I'm 27, I must have a car. Now it's much more than that. So he says that in his book, that when we create these obstacles for ourselves, these age barriers, and we don't achieve them, we start flogging ourselves. Oh, you haven't made it. He's made it. She's made it. So I read that, and I started thinking, okay, all is not lost yet. There's still hope. Because if he could make it to be one of the richest men in the world, and he earned his first, I think, $100 when he was 35. I forget the exact, it was now 30 years since I read that book. Not 30, sorry, 25 or 30. So there was hope, and I thought I would do something. So then I sat down, and I started asking myself, what is it that you want to do? What kind of, you want to do some business? Kis cheez ka business karoge aap? Idea in my mind was, I'll open a ready, paise to the mere paas. I'll start making Rajma Chawal, and I'll send Rajma Chawal outside these offices of MNCs at lunchtime, and I'll make good money. There was so much belief in myself that whatever I do, it will be successful. This belief, in spite of having so many failures, it was there that whatever I do, I'll do a good job. I'll make very tasty. I learned how to make because I was living alone, so I knew how to cook. So I thought I'll make good Rajma. And at lunchtime, I'll give it to these guys and all these youngsters who come work there. And I'll be a super duper hit, then I'll buy a van, and then I'll be in a restaurant. These are all thoughts that were going on in my mind. I said, no, I don't want to do this. At the same time, and there's a little part of the destiny also plays. At that same time, I met another rich guy. Because you happen to meet, you know people who know people and you meet people. So this guy asked me, what are you doing? I said, I didn't do anything. So at that point in time in my life, I was like, please ask me, if you want me to do a job for you, something to stove, will I like to. So he asked me, what are you doing? But he didn't ask me, but he said, construction. So this was again in 89. I said, construction? Because he was himself a class A contractor. Class A contractors are very high in the hierarchy of contractors. He said, हाँ मैं करूँगा. I thought he would say चलो मेरे साथ आ जाओ. He said नहीं वो दिल्ली के पास एक नया शहर बनना है नोएडा, तो वहाँ जाके एक टेंडर लो, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लो and construction शुरू करो. So I met him. I came back to my room and I went to the Noida Authority office, Sarkari office. Everybody knows how you get tenders in Sarkar, and I didn't have money to get that tender. So, what skill did I have? I had this skill of talking to this, my father had taught me. He said, when something is to be done by some higher up officer, what pulls us back is this fear. How can I go and talk to him? Ever since I was a kid, my father had encouraged me, Don't feel afraid. क्या कर लेगा कोई? अगर तुम किसी के पास प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया हो, तुम सीधे जाओ उसके पास अगर just metaphorically speaking. Go and talk to him. What is the worst that can happen? He said, I don't want to talk to you. That's it. He won't kill you. He won't slap you. He won't hit you. So I went to Noida, thought I went to the top boss, and I said, sir, मैंने काम वाम किया हुआ है ये वो इधर उधर छोटा सा काम भी किया था मैंने बीच में. So he said, मेरी दोस्ती हो गई उनसे. बातों बात में, without paying him anything. He just liked me because I was this youngster, very earnest, very sincere. So he said, अच्छा एक हमारा contractor is defaulting, so उसका आधा काम हमने किसी को देना है. Would you be interested? I said, yes, sir. So he said, अच्छा तो तुम 12 लाख रुपए का काम नालियां बनानी है. तो I said, sir बनाएंगे. So anyway, to cut a long story short, with those 40,000 जिसमें से अब करीब मेरे पास 30,000 बचे हुए थे, छोटे मोटे खर्चे करके I got that 12 lakh rupee work. And when I went to the site, I realized this is what I want to do. I love the openness, I love that mitti, and I felt liberated. I said I want to build something, and I want to be. This is my calling in life. So over there I realized. So now at this age I have made certain discoveries of my life, and I keep telling them to my children also and whoever I speak to. So there are these 3 keys of my life. So the first one about what we want to do is of course passion. Yeah. So I realized that for me to go to my construction site at 6 in the morning, it was fun. And I never looked forward to a Saturday or a Sunday. I wanted to go every day because I felt so good going there and doing something and seeing things happen over there. So I realized, okay, I'm happy here, so this is what I'm doing. How to do it further is something we think about later. So one thing led to another, and another thing I realized is ये कहावतें जो हिंदी में बनाई हुई है, हिम्मत मर्दा मदद खुदा, ये सच है. Then you actually take the plunge, you jump to do something, God helps you. And at that time I was an atheist because my father was a very radical person, and he told me जो कुछ करना है खुद करना है अपनी मेहनत से अपनी हिम्मत से. भगवान होता नहीं तुमने देखा है, तुमने कहा नहीं देखा तुमने कहाँ से भगवान. So I was brought up by my father to believe that there is no God, but I am a changed person now. This is not going to be a sermon, I promise you, religious sermon or spiritual sermon. But I realized at that time that when I decided to take this jump, and I decided that अब मैं और aggressive हो जाऊँगा ये काम करने में, things started. You start meeting people. You start meeting people who help you. You don't know those people. They just come. They just cross your path. And there were so many incidents. I won't go into the detail. And one thing led to another. And पूरी journey मैं आपको नहीं बताऊँगा अपनी. Throughout my journey, right from day one, what I learned at school was this thing, this integrity. Integrity, which we were in school taught कि झूठ नहीं बोलना. जो किया है, if you made a mistake, be man enough to own up and say, I did. It was a mistake. So in school it was taken for granted, but in this world it was a rarity. I realized यहाँ तो कोई है ही, सभी झूठ बोलते हैं. तो अगर मैं ना बोलूं, लोग ये बोलते हैं कि बिजनेस करना है तो तुमको झूठ, चोरी, चकारी हमारे लोग, आपकी जनरेशन में नहीं, हमारी जनरेशन को ये बोलते थे मत करो क्योंकि यहाँ ये सब करे बगैर तुम सक्सेसफुल नहीं हो सकते. I decided मैं नहीं बोलूँगा because my conscience didn't agree with me, so I just couldn't do it. So my integrity over here became a belief. When I didn't have money, and this was very, very often. How did you work? I'll give you a small example. In government, when you do a contract, you get the cement and steel free. Not free, it's given by the government, you don't have to pay for it. And after just बाकी material है, they're given on credit. And when you raise a bill with that, whatever you've done, it's called a running bill. Then you get paid for it, and then when you get paid for it, you pay your suppliers and cement steel is deducted. So it was relatively easy, it wasn't capital intensive, so I could do it. But there were times when I couldn't pay that contractor because my bill was delayed. The supplier, because my bill was delayed. My payment was delayed. So one small incident which I remember and I must share, it was also in one of my interviews. So I had an accident because I was on a motorbike and I used to ride pretty rash. So I used to have these accidents all the time. So I broke my leg and I was in hospital. So I was the only guy at work and there was nobody else had partners. So because I was in hospital, that bill couldn't be made and payment couldn't come and the contractors were giving the bricks and the roadie we call it, Bajri and the Reta. They thought he bhag gaya contractor. Because I wasn't in Noida. I had gone to stay at my sister's house because I didn't have anyone to look after me. And there were no mobiles at that time. So when I borrowed my brother-in-law's car to go and visit my site, so these suppliers were on the lookout for me, and these are those hardcore crass people, जो locals होते हैं वहाँ दिल्ली के गाँव के. तो उसने देखा मैं उतरा हुआ तो एकदम से उसी के आसपास ऑफिस के पास उतरा तो एकदम मोटरसाइकिल brought his bike and stopped it in front of my car and he said, come with me to my office. And I was in crutches. I said, let's go. So there was no fear in me, I said, he said, come with me to my office. Let's go. Because मैंने चोरी नहीं की थी. I said, I have to give him money, but it's just that I'm not well and I can't give it right now. Doesn't matter, come. So when I took my car to his office, he came around and he took the keys of the car. And he said, जब पैसे आएंगे तो गाड़ी ले जाना आपने. वो गाड़ी मेरी तो थी. It was my brother-in-law's car. So I was a little scared. And his house was in a village. And I was all over there. So I said, चलो तुम्हारे घर में बात करते हैं. I had this strong belief in me that, this is just a passing phase and I will one day be a very successful contractor / developer / whatever. And this is a passing phase and I told him that. I said, देखो, अभी तुम मेरे साथ ये बदतमीजी कर रहे हो. एक दिन मैं बहुत बड़ा आदमी बनूंगा तो तुमसे कोई मैं मटेरियल नहीं लूंगा. I mean, I don't know what had courage to say that to him. Here, I was owing him money and he was being aggressive and huge for guy. So he got a little confused. So he said, "Achha." He said, "I'll better 5 minutes and भाई से बात करके आता हूँ." So he went inside the house. And I was sitting over here. I said, "I mean, आज क्या होगा? पहले तो घर कैसे जाऊँगा मैं? क्या होगा? Then घर जाके क्या बोलूँगा? गाड़ी कहाँ गई? दिया और दूसरे पड़ेंगे. But he came back after 5 minutes and he gave me the keys. I said, चलो ठीक है. I told him, I said, देखो यार, अभी तुम्हारा पैसा नहीं है ना, तुम्हारे घर आके दूँगा. I was not scared to say that to him because integrity. He gave me my car key and I came back in the car and I realized that day that, Satyam actually jayate, So you don't have to feel scared. So I realized that this thing helps you a lot in anything you do. I've never done a job, so I don't know how you all can relate. People who work for someone, I don't know how you can relate this to your. I'm sure it has a place everywhere. The next thing which I learned, then the journey continues, and like I said, people keep coming into your life and you keep growing, and there are ups and downs, but generally it's a good ride. The other thing I realized was, which is very important, what was lacking in people, what was the difference between me and people was decision making. So, now over here, I realized that, and this was not the case with me, the way I was brought up. My father always encouraged us to take our own decisions. Why I realize most people don't take a decision is because they're afraid that if the decision doesn't work out tomorrow, everybody else will tell them, "Beta, तुमने लिया था ये decision, अब हम सब मर गए." So people say, "छोड़ो यार, उसको लेने दो, मैं को टाइम को इस लफड़े में पढ़ूं, let somebody else take the decision." Somewhere I read, so I was never afraid to take a decision, and I read somewhere that, of course, it wasn't something that inspired me, but it was a very practical thing. It said, if you want the fame, be ready to take the blame. So when he says be ready to take the blame, it's the blame for the wrong decision. So what my father had taught me was, he said, if you take a decision and you believe in a decision, it could be a wrong decision. But don't stop. अगर तुमने सोचा कि मैं इस प्रोजेक्ट में पैसे लगाऊंगा and it's going to be a success, then go and do it. Don't ask 50 people I mean, at this scale where we are today, it doesn't apply because we have to take some collective decisions because there are so many people involved now. But my life started like this. He said, if you have decided to put your entire life savings in something, and 10 people will come and tell you, idiot, what are you doing? Don't listen to them. Because you believe in it, do it. It could be a wrong decision. But if you see through, if you follow through any wrong decision, eventually it will become a right decision because the belief in it is so strong. It may take a little bit more time, more heartache, some pain, but don't stop. So I was fortunate to be, taught that in my childhood. So I realized why. I started thinking, I said, why don't people take decisions? Because ever since we are children, when our kids want to take, how many of you are children? How many of you are married? And have children, sorry. So, most of us, when your child asks you something, should I do this or should I? Sheila, child asks the mother first. Mother will say, अच्छा, पापा से पूछ लो. Papa will say, अच्छा सोच के बताता हूँ. So he's taking this decision. Should I take commerce or science in class? He or she, because of various reasons. But then he comes and brings this decision to the committee of the family, and then he's told to hang on because that decision would be wrong. So that's why it's ingrained first. Then we get married, and our partners, of course, become a part of decision making. So both husband and wife ask each other the decision. It's a good thing, but in professional life, in corporate life, the passions are involved about what you want to do for the rest of your life. It's your decision, it's what makes you happy. So over there too, in a couple, the wife asks us, should I do? Husband asks the wife, should I do this? That's all right over there, but then it becomes a habit. It becomes a habit to ask your friend, should I do this? No, don't do this. Why do you ask so-and-so? She's got a lot of experience, ask her. So it gets, your own decision gets diluted. So you end up thinking, yeah, not a good decision. So then you don't end up doing the things that you would have otherwise done because of your passion. So it goes. And if you don't have passion, and if you're doing something which you're not passionate about, you will never have this. You will never have this perseverance. Perseverance, of course, हम सब अपने बच्चों को बोलते हैं मेहनत करना खूब. अगर आप उस बच्चे को आपने बोला तुम डॉक्टर बन जाओ, उसने निकार हो जाना था, तो वो क्यों जाएगा उसका डॉक्टर बनने पड़ते हैं? It's not a good work. So you have to be very, very passionate about what you do, even if you're doing a job. If you are interested in IT and you work in a real estate company who puts you up on the site, it will be punishment. You wait, every week you wait for Saturday and Sunday. And then Saturday and Sunday goes and say, oh God, Monday blues. So if you are passionate about what you do, perseverance is not a challenge. And your job or whatever you're doing becomes like entertainment. So for me, like I remember 3 years I didn't take a Sunday off. Saturday, Sunday, because I was working, because I had started a new business, real estate club. And it was like, oh, this is Sunday, I'm at site. So it's good, I'm enjoying myself. My wife and family were very upset with me. So you have to keep a balance there. But what I'm trying to say there is, passion and perseverance are complementary. This is not an effort there. If you have passion, you don't have to work hard. It just comes. It becomes fun and games. So this is the second thing I learned. Then the third and most important thing is, of course, I'm sure all of you know this, but I'm just telling you this from my own experience. Patience. Patience for the result. I also used to get frustrated. इतना टाइम हो गया मुझे सोच नहीं रहा. इतना कुछ कर दिया, इतनी मेहनत कर दी. I borrowed money, I've done this. Patience. Be patient. Because patience, without patience, you will end up starting with something and saying, oh, no result, started, let's do something else. That's why a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs fail because they give up How many of you have read that The Secret? That book, there's a book called The Secret. So there's a video of The Secret. It says, so in Secret, I suggest all of you read it. I'm going to come to the fourth most important thing that I've learned in my life, and that is all to put everything together. So The Secret, I kept reading these things, as I went along. And please remember, here I was an atheist, and how I changed my thought process. The Secret says that if you really wish for something really hard, and you believe you'll get it, the universe will give it to you. I've experienced it firsthand. Firsthand I've experienced it. And I never read The Secret then. I never read Secret. So Secret was like video hai. If you Google or YouTube it. So it shows that you have imagined that you will be, the Prime Minister of India. Or the President of India. Or whatever. Anything in your life which you really, really, really want. So it says, imagine that you have it. And you'll get it. So the secret thing out there, so you imagine, okay, I'm going to have a Mercedes car. Okay, yes, I'm just figuring this thing. So it shows, the video shows that, Zameen ke niche se that seed is planted. That, what's her name? Aapke piche jo lady? Sonali. So Sonali had wished for something, and the seed was planted, and Sonali said, I'm going to get it. So that seed, and you can't see below the ground. So that seed starts growing. And it takes time to grow from where it is planted 2 feet below the ground, to come to 2 feet, and then for it to become visible to you, it takes some more time. But by that time, is just about to break ground and come out, and your wish is about to become true, and you give up. What time ho gaya? Ye nahi hone wala. So I realized patience. When you believe in what you do, and you have these two, the top two, the third one, down to the third one, you always give up at the last point, it's going to happen. But you can't see it. It's just coming out and we give up. Over mar jata hai. The fourth most important thing which I learned, and it took the 2008 Lehman crisis and the subprime crisis to teach me this, was, which today is very important to me, is prayer. Line pe aa gaya. So, by this, after I've done all this and the ups and downs in my life, I figured, कुछ तो है ऊपर. जरूर है. क्या है मुझे पता नहीं, but there is some power. So, I went to an astrologer. And then he started telling me things. What the hell does he know, yeah? So I said, how do you know? He said, it's science and maths. I'm not promoting astrology. Please don't take that way. It took an astrologer for me to be convinced that there is something beyond my own intelligence and strength to make things work. So I said, ये सब तो मेरे साथ हो चुका है, आपको कैसे पता? इसे आपको हम कोई Rahu, Ketu, so I said, then I started reading things. And I'll tell you, when you do business and as the scale increases, your risk, your scope of losing things increases manifold. So when you start, you just have that motorcycle to lose. But when by the time now, like today, Janil Baka is our corporate head, and he's a father figure to me. He's seen my whole story. And he's a very accomplished man on his own right. In the Baka Commission in the army, he was managing the entire army in 2001. So I figured that, in 2008, when things got so bad and we were leveraged, I realized that cash flows were not in my business. So the next thing is that's going to go is my house, my cars, my properties, my business, everything will go. So I was worried. Because I come there and then you get used to this kind of lifestyle. So my wife said, तुम वहाँ नहीं जाते, शेट्टी बाबा को ब्रेक नहीं करते तुम जाके. So in typical Amitabh Bachchan style, I went to the मंदिर में मैं सौ बाबा सो रहे थे, आज कुछ तो बहुत हो गया। So आ गया आपके पास में। Then I said to him, very. So I was talking to the picture, Baba की picture रहती है, Baba because I believe in Shri Baba. So I said, Baba ये है कि मैं बड़ा स्वार्थी आदमी हूँ, नहीं सकती। आज मेरी हालत खराब है तो मैं यहाँ आके गिर रहा हूँ, मर्जी आपकी है। अगर आपने कुछ करना हो तो करना, नहीं तो मत करना, मुझे सजा देनी है जरूर दे। Certain things happened, I got certain experiences there, and I suddenly realized that there is something. So I didn't start praying for success. I started. So there was a book which, how many of you follow Shri Baba? No? Fine. Fine. So how many of you know of the Bhagavad Gita? Anybody read it? No one. Someone read it. Oh, good. So there's a book, Shri Baba के बारे में लिखी गई, it's called the Sai Sat Charit, and it's based on the Bhagavad Gita. What does the Bhagavad Gita say? And please don't think I'm promoting anything here. I'm just sharing my experience, what changed my thought process. So it says, it's a very good book to read for all management people, I must say. It puts things in perspective. Bhagavad Gita says that all this is a hallucination. It's not happening. And if it's not happening, that means you own nothing. If you think you own a house, if you think you own a car, if you think you have all this thing, then you are the biggest idiot going around, because it's all a hallucination and nothing exists. So if you own nothing, what will you lose? I said, wow, क्या बात हो गई? जब मेरे पास कुछ है ही नहीं, what will I lose? It's just a hallucination. So the fear. What is the fear we all have? We have the fear of loss. Fear of loss. एक ही डर है हमारे जीवन में. Losing when we are kids, losing my mom and dad. We grow up, losing my wife or my husband, losing my children. And we start doing well, losing my house, losing my car, losing this, losing that. So what stops us? What stops us from taking a brave decision is the fear of loss. So I started thinking differently. I said कि यहाँ जब ये मेरे पास है integrity, कि मैं किसी का बुरा नहीं कर रहा, I am not cheating anybody, I am not lying to anybody, I am not stealing from anybody. So that thing is taken care of, and I will do my business with that thought. So today in the real estate industry, our company is known for transparency, integrity, all the good things about real estate. Like what you don't hear in real estate, we are known for that. So we have time. We have time. 10 minutes more? Next. Is that all right? So basically, that fear that was there inside me, it just went away. And I became a little bold in whichever project I was doing. So now we are known that in bad times, these guys take the biggest project. So when did we take that 1300 crore land? 2 years ago.
2 years, 2.5.
Two and a half years. So the biggest deal came up in Noida, 1300 crore land parcel, and we went and bid for it. We got it, and everybody is saying, "Because दिमाग खराब है, real estate is going through bad times, and they're buying more assets." And like I said, people came and supported us. We got the money. Everything just works out because the intention is right. And today the project is well on its way. It's doing well. So that fear, when I lost that fear, I was able to take the decisions I believe in. So much so that Jan Bhagat, we were sitting in our office the other day, so our senior management was there. He was telling me, he said, I've been in the army, and in the worst of times, the kind of pressure I had was only 1% of what Mr. Anand has on his head, but he doesn't show it. So he asked me, why don't you show it? I said, but I don't have it. So why should I show it? And I don't feel pressured. हम सब सही कर रहे हैं, doing everything right. And I feel that if I don't do it, somebody else will do it. So I'm doing it, and I know it will be a success because I believe in my decision. So why should I fear? These ups and downs, ये कहीं ना कहीं रास्ता मिल जाएगा, ये मेरी अब इसकी वजह से I believe कि क्योंकि मैं सब सही कर रहा हूँ, तो रास्ता मुझे जरूर मिल जाएगा. So I don't need to fear. अगर आज मैंने किसी के पैसे देने, I go to the bank and when I went to the banks and Mrs. Karnag, HDFC, she at the other creation of HDFC, I told her, I said, we don't have money to pay. अब आप करिए जो करना है, जहाँ से देना है, इधर उधर से करना है, और we don't become an MP. And she rose to the occasion quickly. She said, okay. And everybody was in pain that time, and we were out of it, better than before. So that is my experience. So much so that when we started out, so it was a first generation company, and we started out with nothing. Today we have work, an order book of a little over $3 billion, which we will complete in the next 5 to 6 years, and we employ about 4,000 people. And I and Janil Bakka also enables all of them for this. And if they take a wrong decision, they're not penalized, because we don't want to stop them from taking decisions. They have to have the confidence to take a decision. So, ठीक है, गलती है, गलत decision लिया, अगर ले भी लिया, we'll follow it through. Small example I'll tell you. So our head of sales and marketing, he's been with us for how many years now? 30 years. All these guys, I interact very closely, but I don't take decisions, they take decisions. So we were coming up with a new project in Noida, and we do only larger format houses. We don't do छोटे घर के जल्दी बिकते हैं ना. We have identified boutique housing, that niche of middle class people who have an aspiration of a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom house where their kids can grow up and stay for 10 to 15 years, you can go to college and then, you know. So we do only that kind of housing in a bad market. People say, look, kaise karte ho, but we do it and we sell it at a premium. So when things were a little bad in 2013, Sanjeev Tukuria, the head of, he's director now, he said, sir, I think in the new project we should do 2-bedroom houses. No, not 2, we should do 2.5 bedrooms and 2 toilets. Yes, sir, abhi tax se denge. And it's a 1,000 crore project. So I said, we took a decision 5 hours. I said, ठीक है, तुमने करना है, do about 20% of that, but 80% let's do the big ones, because that is our strength. But I am against it. कि हमको नहीं करने चाहिए छोटे घर, आप सोचते हो करने चाहिए तो कर लेते. We are all with you, and we did it, और वो नहीं मिले. But he's taken decision and he's supporting it, and we make sure they sell. But that is the kind of freedom we give within the organization to take a decision. We don't believe it's a wrong decision. It's an ill-timed decision, but we will still back him, and we'll see it through. It will do well. So that being that, I don't think I have much more to say. Otherwise, if you all want to ask something, please go ahead.
Every employee is a millionaire.
I agree, yes. That you would tell them, because Janil is our HR head too. Every employee is a millionaire, Indian rupee millionaire.
Also, superior with 5 years.
All of them own property and good money. But that's their karma. There. I have nothing to do with it, we have nothing to do with it. It's their own karma. Nothing?
Okay, I'm another who's directly affected by your work. My parents stay in an ATS apartment in Ahmedabad.
Oh.
So, I've seen the work that your company does, but the apartments that you sell are more expensive than the ones which are available in the Manhattan.
That's business.
Yeah.
So that's smart business. So, but I'll tell you one thing.
Yes.
So that's your question.
No, my question is, do you think, with your insights in the real estate, that this inflation that we have in our real estate, these inflated prices, will ever see a correction?
See, okay, I'll give you a real. So I also represent the Association of Developers across India. CREDA is the Confederation of Real Estate Developers Associations of India. So I'm the president of that, and we have 11,500 members across India. What's your name?
Sarvesh.
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 Sarvesh. So Sarvesh, none of you can deny that in the last 2 years, property prices have come down by 15-20% across the board. I agree. There are input costs which haven't changed. Labor's gone up. Cement steel has gone up. As a business house, we don't make money. Profit is not a bad word. And if you can sell a premium, wouldn't you sell it if you were a business? Profit is not a bad word, like I keep saying that every year. But it should be value for money, what you buy. Why do people buy our property? You know, in Indirapuram, it's all sold and it's trading, even today, it's trading at least 20% higher than the guy next door, right? So if it is trading, we are not making that money. It's the guys who are selling again now who are making the money. As a real estate company, when we launched, you know, Indirapuram, are they saying phase 1 or phase 2?
Phase 1.
They must have bought it dirt cheap. 2,400 rupees a square foot is what we sold it at.
They bought it resale.
There you go. Who made the money? Somebody else, but we are happy. It's Dhirubhai money is a philosophy. I believe in that. My investors should be rich. They should make money. We will make money nonetheless because of our scale. Like we build 2 crore square feet of housing every 4 years. I won't say the number of years. 2 crore housing is huge. And we keep churning out in 5 years 2 crore square feet of housing. But our people, our investors, have become rich. So we sold at 2,400 rupees a square foot. That's affordable. And if you bought it, what price did you buy it?
I think that's double.
4,800. And today it is at 7,000. You know that? So if you sell it at 7,000, we sold it at 2,400. And I'm happy people are making money on it. Because if we do a good job, we will make money. But our investors should also. So across India, the average apartment price, I'm not just talking about Delhi, Mumbai, and Kolkata is also very cheap now. So across India, price band is 3,500 rupees a square foot to 5,500 rupees a square foot, depending on location, developer, product, specifications. So ये band है. So you have a huge offering. Now, the government's new initiative of the 60 square meters, you guys know about that? You know? But would you stay in a 60 square meter house? There you go. So now that is something which there will be a lot of supply coming in 60 square meters. Because everybody is getting an income tax exemption, 100% under Section 88 IB. So if they are getting an exemption, then every developer of scale will start doing that format of housing. Because of the supply and demand dynamics है सब जगह. Because of so much supply, you will see a rationalization of prices. So that 60 square meter will be available at a reasonable price. But the format we do, and we are not doing premium housing. We are doing regular housing, but we are just doing it with integrity and we are giving what we promised, maybe more. So that's why it says at a premium. So I'm happy for that.
With the real estate market now in a bit of downturn, and this has been speculated for the last 5-6 years. I remember 5 years back I was having a bet with my friend that prices will crash, and it took so long for them to crash, and even now they're not crashing at the expected line. My question is that there are a lot of builders who are facing cash crunch. They have taken huge loans, and they're not able to sell the properties. But still they're not selling the properties at low prices. The correction is not happening as per expectations, and they have a lot of cash crunch. How are they managing? And there are many builders who are doing who are in the similar situation. So why is the correction not happening in the true sense of what it should actually go down?
You're Vikas? So Vikas, where are you from?
I'm from Delhi.
Delhi. So which area of Delhi are you talking about? Where you want, we have a bet. कहाँ पे?
Basically, I'm from Ahmedabad.
Faridabad.
I was talking about Gurgaon as well as, so basically the NCR region I was talking about.
So
Not about Delhi, but
how well do you know the Gurgaon pricing?
I know recently.
So what is the price on Golf Course Extension Road?
It's around 8 to 10,000.
What was it 2 years ago?
It was in the similar range, around 12.
It was 12, not similar, 3.
Yeah.
8 and 12. You said 8 to 10,000 yaar. पहले थी 12. It's a huge difference यार. 50%. 8,000 और 12,000 में 50% फर्क नहीं हो गया. So it's corrected. You won your bet. And today the Gurgaon developers are reducing prices further. Why? Because like you said, they are strapped for cash. They are leveraged. Even in this market, there are developers who are still selling. What was the problem? See, what is happening now is when a developer doesn't deliver and he has this huge price and he gives glossy brochures, you'll have a spa here and this, that. People have become intelligent now. The buyer is much better informed than he or she was. So they know that all this is humbug. You want to see the pudding. Where is it? So now they're not falling for these things. So these guys are not selling at these prices. They are leveraged, they are stressed. So what is happening is that they are coming in for joint ventures with better developers. So consolidation is happening in the market. and with RERA is the Real Estate Regulatory Authority coming, being set up, you see more people leaving this business and more consolidation happening. So it will happen, but like I said, in certain areas there are input costs, and people who feel that they can make a better profit than the neighbor, they will do it. Wouldn't you, if you were a developer? If you can sell something which I'm selling at 4,000, you can sell it for 6,000, wouldn't you sell it? That's business. And if you're not stressed, you would be able to sell it. If you make it, you sell it also. Yeah.
In the last few years, customer protection was a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
A lot of friends got a number of builders coming up, and a lot of promises made, a lot of promises broken. Delivery on time, including things, facilities promised but not given.
Yes.
What is CREDAI doing to kind of?
So, good question, Saurabh. Now, CREDAI is a body of associations, and we vouch for our members. Now, if you see the north, there's Unitech, there's JP, there are some more big names who have defaulted. They were too arrogant to become members of an association. They said, "हमको नहीं चाहिए, तुमको हम चाहिए, हमको तुम नहीं चाहिए." CREDAI, actually, if there's a default of one of its members, we have something called Consumer Grievance Redressal Forum, CGR. So when you as a customer lodge a complaint on CGR from the CREDAI national portal of that area, so it's everywhere all across India, the body of that city chapter or state gets that developer down. You sit face to face. And you say, "Yaar, मैंने आपको पैसे दिए थे सालों का क्या हो रहा है?" Then CREDAI takes a decision. Hey, the developer is wrong. So you have to refund him money or you have to give him a penalty. Now, we are not a judiciary body, unfortunately. So the maximum that we can do as an association is we say, we debar you from membership, member, because we've given a decision in favor of the customer and you are not abiding by it, so you are no longer a member. In many geographies in the country, if you are a CREDAI member, you sell better, you get a premium also because there is answerability. So now this culture we have to get into the CREDAI, into the real estate fraternity, so to speak, that if you are a member of an association which has some credibility, then you will be able to sell better because my customer wants somebody to talk to, he needs a forum where he can go and put forward his grievances, so you get a premium for that, you'll sell faster. So people are understanding that. There is a change, but to change the mindset of business over here is a challenge. Look at demonetization. I mean, so we are working on it, it's work in progress.
Is there kind of like the rating or auditing scheme that also?
We are going to do that too, but people are not open to it because they say, "यार हमारा सारा we." So then we are trying to put pressure. अभी हम वहाँ graduate नहीं हुए जहाँ भी से rating कराओ नहीं तो बाहर जाओ. We'll get there. We'll get there. So the intent is that.
So we've seen that mostly the developers, they are generally limited to one region. DLF, NCR, Lodha, and Mumbai. Why this? Why are they not able to migrate to other locations?
Gaurav, right? So the thing is that the biggest challenge in real estate is execution. So we as a company do our own execution. We don't have contractors. So we have this huge army of people, 4,000 people who we build our own buildings. Mostly the model is you have money, you get money from a private equity fund, you buy land, you get in a contractor, the rated contractors, and then you start the building. And then you get construction funding and then you complete the project. Now, if you move out of your own geography, getting good contractors, because there are only that limited 4-5 good contractors in the country, believe you me, the Shabuji, LNT, Aluwale, of course, is now dubious. So, dubious of reputation and delivery. So, this is a challenge, execution is a challenge. So, executing in your own geography, because you have, you know these old guys who've grown with you, these contractors. So you can get contractors in your own geographies, but a contractor will not leave his geography of comfort and go to, like, why did DLF fail so much in Chennai? It's a different ball game altogether. The expectation of the contractors is different, the customer is different. So you cannot have the same mindset that you have in Gurgaon. You can't have the same mindset in Chennai or Coimbatore or Kochi. It's very difficult. Unless and until you don't have your back end tied up, you don't have your execution in place, you cannot move out of your own geography. So we as a company today are operating in the entire north. So we have Gurgaon, Noida, Indirapuram, Chandigarh, Dehradun. So we've moved to Ahmedabad. Next step. So we're doing a project in Gift City. We moved to Goa. So we're doing a high project in Goa. Small in size, but then we intend to expand because we see the opportunity. With affordable housing, low cost housing coming up, we set up a separate vertical where they're actually making these houses in the north right now, which cost 12 lakh rupees, which cost 20 lakh rupees. So we are making these houses also. But the intent is that once we have the execution in our control, we slowly start spreading out to the entire country. Because this opportunity, I was speaking to Ashish Nanda, and we have a chair here in Ahmedabad. So I see this opportunity of housing as the next big economic driver in the country. It's the biggest job provider after agriculture for uneducated people who can't cite. It contributes 6% to the GDP, it should be at least 20% because it drives the manufacturing sector. So it is the biggest economic driver in coming times. 300 items we use in making a house. I'm not right?
No.
You said that?
No, it was more like it's a staggering number, sir.
It is, it's staggering. You guys read up on it, it's huge. And the manufacturing industry is fed by the housing industry hell of a lot, not cement steel. Rassi wala, teen wala, tile wala, nalke wala, chipkani wala, 300 items we use in a house. So this is the biggest driver and we see the opportunity. Documented shortage, 2 crores in 8 metros and 4 crores in tier 2, tier 3 towns. 4 crore houses. इससे बढ़िया business ही नहीं है. Anybody wants to be an entrepreneur, do this and study how it's done. Low cost housing, affordable housing. Scale पे मत करो, छोटा करो. It's huge. 20 साल खत्म नहीं होता ये business. It's so attractive.
What is the real estate sector for subsidies before coming here? So, back in my home state,
Which is?
Kerala, Trivandrum. So, there real estate seen as an investment, and people have portfolios in different countries. So, the kind of premiums they have in their mind is based on something. So, just curious, how does the premium perception vary across the globe?
It's nothing else. It's just make maximum profit out of a business sector. Or
The customers, like the quality or the timely delivery, or maybe the presence of outside investors. Like,
no. See, you should always see the cost of a real estate asset as an end user. Even if you're an investor, who do you sell to? To an end user. सबसे बड़ी गलती सब करते हैं investor real estate में. They don't see it as an end user. Oh, my friend is saying that कि बड़ा अच्छा मैंने पैसे लगाया I make money here. तुम ही लगा. That's the worst way to invest in real estate. Go there and ask yourself this question: will I stay here with my wife and kids? If it's a yes, then start negotiating the price. Maybe you have to pay a premium because you really want to stay there. If you go there and say, I would never stay here, don't buy that asset. Simple.
Yes, sir. So my question was based on around because today we see a lot of disruptions are happening in any sector, and all the projections that you're speaking of are from a legacy mindset, especially from a millennial's point of view. I personally wouldn't want to own an asset. Now I'm moving towards overization of assets. So, do conversations take place in your boardrooms as to what are the possible disruptions that can?
So, very good point, but I don't agree. Are you married?
No, but I'm a buyer, right? So.
No, but the day you are married, you will speak a different language. Your wife will say, I want मेरे से picture. चलो घर करेंगे. हम हिंदुस्तानी हैं नॉर्मली. ऊपर शुगर very good, but we want a house. ये हमारी सभ्यता है, हमारे DNA में है.
But do you see the disposable incomes being that high? Because if you look at the global context, disposable incomes they have already peaked and they are going to go down going forward.
What is happening is, your name please?
Arjun.
Arjun. What the government is going to do now is they're going to bring the interest rates down to an international level when I talk of home loans. हाँ, ऐसा हो जाएगा. कितने disposable income चाहिए? कितना? थोड़ा सा चाहिए. Taxation नीचे हो जाएगा. It will come down. Believe you me. Maybe in the next budget. Once taxes are rationalized, income tax, personal tax. Once home loans are available at these prices, why would you buy a house? Because it is already in a DNA. You've been ever since your mom told your dad, घर चाहिए और 3 बच्चे हैं तो तीनों के लिए होना चाहिए. कहीं कल को हमको कुछ होगा घर तो होगा आपके पास. अब हम कहते हैं नहीं अपने लिए चाहिए बच्चे तो अपने आप कमा लेंगे. Millennials will buy a house for themselves, maybe not for their kids. This is the biggest change that I can see happening as a real estate guy. I'm not being optimistic, I'm being real. I've spoken to youngsters your age. The ones who are married say घर चाहिए. The ones who are not, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, those who are not married, they say, no, I'll rent here. Studio apartment होगा, कभी यहाँ, कभी वहाँ, ऐसा तब चलेगा. Anything?
Sir, one
Yeah.
question. With coming up with RERA, they say that the scales are tipping in favor of the customers against the developers. And the developers still have a lot of struggle going forward for approvals. So, how do you think you can get help from the government in that?
I like you. What's your name?
What's the
You should join the real estate industry or something.
I'm already an architect.
विवाद हम तो यही बात बोलते रहते हैं सब, पर आपने हमारे मन की बात बोल दी. क्या है? So I tell the customers, I tell customer forum that they see all पांचों उंगलियां एक बराबर नहीं होती. There are bad guys and there are good guys. What is happening is with this passion for activism, सारा builder means चोर, means कि he's a bloody cheat, and we have our own people to blame for it. Why? There have been bad stories. There have been fly-by-night operators and also so the guys in our business who are good have this problem. So even if you're doing the project right and all, there's activism and then everything is so loaded for the consumer. So we went to the government. Now politicians being politicians, they said इसको हम dilute नहीं कर सकते. हमारी वोट गई है. So we said business का क्या होगा? आप देखो. So now we are faced with this challenge of RERA, which is totally loaded against us. What is that going to do? It is going to cut short supply. Because a lot of people don't have the organization to comply to RERA. You need a legal cell, you get CRM, effective paperwork, blah, 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 blah. They don't have it. तो वो बंद कर देंगे ये काम. वो आएंगे big guys के पास. चाहिए हमारे पास जमीन पे आप करो. So what is going to happen is that we have so much of land in stock. We say what's the rush? बैठो हम करते हैं अभी तो ये चल रहा है. So everywhere you will see a short supply. Immediately नहीं, but in due course. Then the customer will say, boss, prices बढ़ गए. Then industry will say, थोड़ा हमको काम तो करने दो. जो ठीक काम कर रहे हैं उनको तो ठीक काम करने दो. उनको क्यों रोकते हो? आज मैं आपको अपना पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस बता रहा हूँ. Even if you do a good job, like in Indrapur, there's some guy from Aam Aadmi Party. उसने he gave a possession check of 13 lakh. It bounced. Somewhere in our system, in the CR, it didn't come up as not paid. So when we asked him for that money about 2-3 months later, he said, मैंने तो दे दी. हमने कहा ये रही बैंक स्टेटमेंट, मैं तो नहीं दूंगा. So he started a forum in the society. Let's go and ask ATS for ये ठीक नहीं है, वो ठीक नहीं है, ये कम था, ये कम था. Let's make a bill and ask ठोको उन पे अपना bill. मेरे को तो अपने पैसे नहीं देने पड़ेंगे. This is the kind of negative activism and we do a good job. I'm proud to say that. I can say that confidently that we do a good job. If our customer, you know, my mobile phone, my number is accessible to all our customers. We have over 20,000. एक दिन रात को 1 बजे फोन आ गया. We have a new project called Hamlet in Noida. So the generator wasn't working. So one lady called me at 1 o'clock at night, and I took the call. And my wife was saying, what? Yeah, I said, yeah, no. She said, Mr. Anand, what is this? We stay in a 3 bedrooms का generator ठीक से नहीं चल रहा, 4 bedroom का ठीक चल रहा है. Is this, you know, class disparity? So I said, relax, ma'am. My guys are working at 1 o'clock. I'm handling this situation. So that's the kind of accessibility. So why should I face negative activism? I have no modified intent. So till such a time that prices don't go up like that and balloon like that, the consumer won't realize me, yaar, यहाँ तो I've shot myself in the foot. जो अच्छा काम करे तो उनको करने दो. This will happen in due course. I hope so. Otherwise, we also wrap up this business, right? Tell me anything else I can share with you guys. That's it. Thank you. It's been lovely talking to you all.
So, thanks a lot for the lovely talk.
Thank you.
There were a lot of learnings to take away from this session, and a lot of us do feel motivated about for the entrepreneurs that who want to start their own business. And
You must read this book, Be My Guest by Conrad written. It's not available in a bookstore. You get it online for I think $1. It's a great book. It's a very thin book and read it in about 2 days. बहुत अच्छी किताब है. It really inspires you. Called Be My Guest. Sorry. So
Once again, thanks a lot for the lovely talk.
Thank you, sir.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank
This is a small token of appreciation.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Everything. Thank you.